Good evening, Dave here. Welcome. It's Monday again, and that's right, we're right back at this. Let's have a chat. Let's have a chat about sports and leadership, and this is the problem employee edition of sports and leadership. And by now, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you might have heard and already tried to sweep it under the rug. Folks, I'm going to go on record, disclaimer here. I have great disdain for the Dallas Cowboys as because they're not my team. I know, I live in Texas, but they are not my team. Trust me, it's a good thing. So with that being said, however, there's just some things that just are too easy that you just can't let it go. You have to you have to mention it, you have to bring it out to light, because again, it's relevant to what we're talking about, or what I talk about in this show. All right, so it seems that the Dallas Cowboy running back decided he was going to go to some place to go listen to some music, which is cool. It's the off season. The organized team activities have not started. They're going to start here in just a couple of days. So he decided to get one last fling in, and apparently there's a video showing him either pushing or elbowing somebody, knocking him down. And at the end of the night, well, you know what? This idiot, he goes and gets himself put in handcuffs. Now you're saying, oh, he was wrong, he was robbed, he was cheated, it was a setup, whatever you want to whine about, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the night, they don't put handcuffs on people for escorting little old ladies across the street. That's right. You do something wrong, there's a situation going on, you're going to get the cuffs. And it's just the way it is. So obviously at some point, somebody said, hey, we got to cuff this guy. Maybe for our own safety. Because again, apparently this guy has had issues in the past. He did get suspended there for a season after he exhausted all of his appeals. He did get suspended there for violating league policy on domestic violence, and so kudos to the league on that. Now, this is the second time now something big has happened. Now he appears in the news. So let's look at it from a business manager, a leader, a business owner standpoint. What do you do when and I hate to say this, what do you do when your star employee is getting himself trouble, and it's habitual, it's chronic? It's different than a one-off situation where it's like, oh, just wrong place one time. The people that were going to do this, set them up, then it becomes a real setup. But when it's chronic, when it's habitual, when it's happening basically anytime they put the camera on this guy, something's about to happen. And what do you do? What do you do as a leader? What do you do as a manager? What do you do as a business owner? What do you do? Do you terminate this guy's employment? Personally, 2 strikes, you're out. That's enough. First one was bad enough, and now this, and it's building up to something else. So, sorry about that. Just got a little something in my throat. Wind is blowing around. So, what do you do with your troubled employees? Obviously, there has to be some kind of progressive discipline, unless it's like flat out, they went and they committed homicide or committed murder or domestic violence, and it's been proven, it's been arrested, they've got them dead to rights. Well, guess what? Then you cut them loose. Because it's making your organization and what your organization stands for, it makes it look bad. So, in this case, the Dallas Cowboys, they call themselves America's teams, but the last time I checked, America likes winners. And you keep bringing in these people, what's going to happen? Exactly. Not much, because again, it's more of the self-interest versus the team interest. If you're not organized as a team, as one cohesive unit, you are worthless to call yourself a member of the team, because again, the team is worthless. But when the team works together and everybody is a group as a team, and they want to win as a team, and they act as a team, they behave as a team on and off the field because they're representing that team, then that's a winner mindset, that's a winner mentality, and America loves winners. So again, as I was alluding to this, what do you do on a business standpoint? Well, obviously you have progressive discipline, unless there's those situations that are quite unique and have to be dealt with accordingly. But what happens the next time? What if it was just a one-off? You're fine, and that's it. Somebody just had to get their cage rattled just to get back on track. But it's habitual. It becomes chronic. Somebody's always coming in drunk. Someone's coming in high. Someone's operating machinery that's high. Yeah, but marijuana is legal, man. Yeah, but that's where you as a business owner have to say, it may be legal on your time, but in company time, are you as a business owner prepared to pay the millions and millions of dollars that somebody will cause because they were, under the influence? And it's not just the marijuana. It's not just the domestic. It's everything. I mean, anything that an employee does on their free time and brags and boasts about it can get turned around and used against them in the workplace. Constantly going out and showing, get your pictures on that social media where you're out there constantly drinking, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. You're constantly out there drinking, you're out there partying, you're going out there doing all of this, doing all of that. Fine, you're entitled to it, you have your time, that's great. But at some point, there's going to be a slip up. And what's the first thing people are going to hone in on? Was that individual impaired? Was that individual striking his girlfriend? Was that individual doing drugs? And so on and so on. So as an employer, you need to look at that and say, hey, you know what? You might need to curtail what you're posting on social media. You might want to, excuse me, I mean, it scratches, it itches. You might want to curtail and get some help. You might want to get some help before it ends up costing the organization millions. And folks, it's happened before. No one's immune to it. It'll happen again, I guarantee it. It'll happen again, but if you can do something to prevent it now, either as the employee, the potential future troubled employee, the currently in trouble employee, and the owner, the leader, the manager, the director, the section leader, whatever you are, you have to look at it and work with them. And if they don't want to they don't want to work with you, and they don't want to work with anybody because they're the star and they know better than you, well, guess what? Might be time to cut the cord, let them know who's really in charge, because you know what? They're not the ones signing the check. And are you going to sign it to your employees, or are you going to sign it over to somebody that they hurt because you knew you could have prevented it? And folks, that's the real deal. Is you have these chronic troubled employees, you need to do something. You have an employee that's kind of on the teetering on the edge, deal with them now, not later, not when it's going to cost you more. Because you get ahead of it. You plan for it, you prepare for it, you deal with it now, not later. And guess what? You'll save yourself a lot of heartache as a business owner, as a leader, as a manager. And employees, you might just need that wake-up call to say, hey, you know what? Enough's enough. Speaking of enough's enough, folks, I'm Dave, and it's Monday, May 20th, 2019. This is Let's Have a Chat About Sports and Leadership, the Troubled Employee Edition. Tomorrow, I'll be back with In the News, and man, have I got some stuff in the news. If it's in the news, it's huge. So have a good evening. We'll talk to you soon.